Hey there, today I want to talk about an extremely common issue that people encounter when learning to talk to strangers in real life, and that is running out of things to say. After this video, you will understand why you actually never truly run out of things to say. You only run out of things to say temporarily, and why, when that happens, it's actually a great thing for the conversation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Achil Rudolph. I'm a social confidence coach, and I work primarily with South Asian origin men who want to learn this confidence that is needed to approach strangers in real life and attract them into lasting relationships. And most guys that I observe have rather superficial, oftentimes very fast-paced conversations that just fizzle out, Yeah, hi, how are you? You're really pretty. Where are you from? What do you do? What are you up to later? Okay, all right, bye. And then they come to me and they say, I run out of things to say. The reason that most of these people are running out of things to say is that they're running in the first place. They're running through the conversation, and obviously they're not able to go deep. So the key to understanding the solution to this problem is that you can walk in a conversation. You can even stop and take a break. You can be silent, and it doesn't mean you ran out of things to say. It just means that you're allowing yourself the time that you need to come up with the next thought. And that time is obviously needed. It's totally normal. Because when you're talking to someone and there is a bit of nervosity in the air and there is a bit of tension, well, obviously there are lots of inputs to process for your system. It's gonna trigger even unconscious processes inside of you, and you need to let those processes run. And if you are not enlightened, then there will be thoughts, there will be lots of things going on inside of you. If you're not literally the Buddha, then you will be thinking constantly. And it's not the question whether you are able to come up with a new thought. You have thoughts. It's just that you're not aware of them, or they're too fast and chaotic, so you can't tap into them and turn them into something that you can verbalize. Or you are actually scared of expressing them because you don't have the courage to say what you're actually thinking. But in those moments, just like me right now, you can take a break. You can take a breather. You can let the message that you just delivered sink in with the other person. And that time is great because in that time, we actually start to feel. In that time, tension can build and emotions can bubble up. And in that time, more than just verbal information can be exchanged. That is the time where our bodies start really talking to each other on a level that's much deeper than what language can ever achieve. People think the conversation is over when there is a 2 or 3 second break. The opposite is the case. When there is this kind of break and you ran out of things to say for the moment, and you let the message sink in, that's when the conversation usually goes one level deeper. There's a beautiful side effect of allowing these kinds of breaks to happen, which is that it subcommunicates status and security. Because it means that you're not afraid of this silence. You're not afraid of the little bit of awkwardness that might ensue. You radiate this sense of safety that even if there's a bit of awkwardness, it's not a big deal. And that'll make the other person feel comfortable and also allow her to risk these kinds of awkward moments herself. She knows that it's not going to be a problem. It also means that you're not afraid of getting interrupted. The main reason that most people just keep talking in these interactions is that unconsciously they're a bit afraid of getting interrupted. You can see this especially with filler words. When people use filler words, it's usually to hold the attention of the person that they're talking to while they are still thinking about what they want to say next. You know these people. They would just speak, and once in a while they would not know what they want to say, and then they would make sure to always make these these sounds so that no one can jump in between. I'm not done yet. I'm still finishing, and I just don't want you to lose attention. I don't want you to turn away. See what that communicates when you're speaking with all those filler words? It means that you're not very secure in the value of what you're saying. Because if you believe that what you have to say is important, then you don't need to artificially hold people's attention with sounds that don't make any sense. You can let whatever you said stand on its own, because it deserves the space. It deserves to be taken on board. It deserves some silence. It's worth the wait. And if someone does interrupt when you're not yet done, that's also not a big deal for you. You can deal with that. You can just say, well, sorry, I'm not yet done. This was a rhetoric pause. Let me complete my point. Probably it's going to be more fun in most social settings to not say that, but to just respond to whatever that person throws at you and to play with it, and then you can return to your point. And that's the third. That's another important side effect of leaving breaks and allowing yourself to run out of things to say. It creates openness. It gives the other person an opportunity to enter. Because in this case, you want to be interrupted. It's great when a person you just approached and started the conversation with interrupts you, because that means they're actually engaging in the conversation. You want to celebrate that, and you want to give them ample opportunity to jump in. People who say that they ran out of things to say are usually people who don't even give the other person a chance to start walking. They're just running all over them. And in, I would say, half of the cases where someone came to me and said, I ran out of things to say, the person that they were talking to would have actually said something if the guy who approached had not just ejected in that moment. If you had just stayed there in that same interaction, said exactly what you said before, but instead of running out of things to say and saying, okay, bye, you just stand still and wait, and you don't have a new idea. In half of the cases, the other person would have had an idea and actually started engaging, and you didn't even allow that to happen. There's a misconception here, which is that the person who approaches, or the man in most cases, has to always be leading and always be filling the space and talking, but that's not the case. This is a dance, and yes, the first step is usually done by the man who approaches, and in the very first part of the interaction, it is important that the man provides the content and leads and goes into a bit of a monologue mode, because that's when the other person often doesn't even know what's going on. They still have to recalibrate. They have to make sure that they're safe. They may have to make sure that you're not a creep and not trying to sell anything, but just an interesting, intelligent, educated man who wants to express himself and share. But once the other person actually feels hooked and interested, it's great if she takes over leadership once in a while. That's when it becomes a real dance. That's when it starts becoming dynamic. And it makes you vulnerable as well, because you prove that you're willing to let go of control as well. You're not scripting this whole thing out in your mind, following some dating coach's decision tree. You're happy to react to whatever the other person throws at you, and that's unpredictable. That's completely unknown. Impossible to plan that out. That's where it becomes fun. And it also proves that you're okay with the silence just ending in rejection. Because if the silence is very long, you don't really know what to say, the other person also doesn't really say something, and there's some body language signal that this is not really fun for the other person, then you just say, okay, nice to meet you, goodbye. But you take the time before you just run away like that. And you're okay with that as well, which also proves that you're confident. You're okay with rejection. So in summary, the solution to never running out of things to say is that you need to allow yourself to run out of things to say and realize that it's not a problem. You can stop. You can take breaks. Stop running and walk and halt sometimes, because those are the moments where emotions and deeper thoughts actually bubble up. You want to celebrate those moments because they enable you to show your assertiveness, your status, your confidence, and create comfort and safety for the other person. And it also opens up the space for the other person to truly join the conversation and even make up their mind if they really want to talk to you or not. And then you can take the time to speed things up again and pick up speed where the other person or you starts sharing whatever comes up next, and you can be assured that there will always be something else coming up. As I said earlier, if you're not the Buddha, if you're not enlightened, there are always going to be thoughts in your head. And it's just a matter of practice to be able to tap into that stream, that never-ending, constant, rushing stream of consciousness, and pick something out of it that is actually relevant, and verbalize it and inject it into the conversation. This is obviously a matter of practice, and the more you practice, the better you get at picking out something that's actually relevant, that actually connects in some surprising, sometimes very subtle way to what has been said, and takes the conversation to this next level of depth and authenticity. And I still work on this every day. I probably ran out of things to say in this video around 5 or 6 times. There are lots of exercises that you can do to get better at this skill. And if you want to practice that skill together with me, there is a link in the description where you can find out more about my online coaching programs. But for now, leave a like if you enjoyed this video and want more people to see it. Thanks a lot. Samgachatvam. Namaskar.